Hey, you go, Mo.
Hello and welcome to Angora Poets, the World Cafe. On these August 1st, 2021, we are entering the dog days of August, which sounds quite provocative to a group of poets. And so tonight we're going to begin with 8 poets and one who also sings. And so if you're listening to this by recording, which I hope you are, sit back and get ready for 8 poets, all of whom are features in their own right. So these poems will land, everybody. So I'll start this by introducing our very first poet, who's from our sister reading series in Brooklyn called Brownstone Poets, which has become a sister series to Angora Poets. And that would be poet, editor, anthologist, Patricia Kerrigan. Hello, Patricia.
I read New York poems, really New York poems, old school stuff. This is a rough one. Dog days of summer. These are the dog days of summer. It's time to go to work. Leave by 8:30 and the tin can snake is late again, doing its snail's waltz on rails. Play solitaire in your head. Waste time on the ground. Anticipate another day in hell. Reach your destination. Walk through a labyrinth sprayed by derelicts' piss. Their eau de toilette wakes you up faster than the gentrified caffeine in your upscale paper cup. Fade into the urban circus with the rest of the clones. Grilled shit and trash give the sidewalks character, and the stench ain't much better. Cabs and bikes want to kill you. They need the money now, and you're in the way. Robots armed with cell phones and briefcases bump into you because you don't exist. The city has a fuck you attitude, and the temperature is rising. In a cubicle maze, work for corporate rats and sit in your designated rut. Your Mickey Mouse title keeps your ass glued to your seat. Bosses send more emails than deadlines were yesterday. Brown bag lunches lack power to impress. Eat alone. Your phone and computer keep you company. Your salary's generous. The rent and bills thank you. Yet there's no money for travel. You dream of summer love and the past still screws you and sex stinks like stale fish. Your gender's in name only. Why do anything when you're anonymous, like the flowers on your desk? Watch their dry petals fall by the minute and the clock says 6:30 and you're on overdrive and the workload is tireless and the report is overdue and you almost forget to pee. These are the dog days of summer. It's time to go home. Leave by 9:30 and the tin can snake is late again and the AC is out like the one at home. Your home sweet microwave. Your thoughts predict the future, playing solitaire with your body, wasting time on an empty bed, anticipating another night in hell. Want me to continue?
Well, I'd like you to what summer? You said that was an old poem. It sounds like it could have been written last night, given the conditions people are under.
This was written in 2006 after a crappy day at work. And I lived in Astoria in those days, and was having problems with my AC in those days.
Okay.
Really bad day at work.
Well, you expressed it quite well. And for the rest of humanity on that island. Okay, Patricia, number 2, please.
Okay, this is written about 2009, The Invasion of Literary Brooklyn. Poets and writers beware. Literary Brooklyn is a war zone. Your sanctuaries have been usurped by those whose primary purpose is to be fruitful and multiply their yuppie assets. Watch where you walk. Expensive strollers patrol the streets. Like armed tanks, they roll past the brownstones of Park Slope, filled with in vitro babies ready to crush your literary toes. Forum Hill's under attack, as well as Cobble Hill, and Carroll Gardens is next. These mommies and daddies of the nouveau elite insist that Brooklyn is theirs since they own the condos, boutiques, restaurants, bars, and cafes. Rents continue to rise after their invasion. No wonder they act the way they do, keeps the undesirables like us out. Mind what you recite at most cafes and even at the temples of literature, the Brooklyn Public Library and some bookstores. The stroller brigade wants you to mind your F's and U's and your C's and P's, plus other letters from the offensive alphabet. We can't offend the ears of their adorable in vitro kitties. Their mommies and daddies never had foreplay when a petri dish was involved. Bars and cafes have a long tradition of being safe havens for the literati, but Wi-Fi brought in another invasion, the self-absorbed hipster offspring of aging hippies. Hipster culture doesn't include the written or spoken word. Give them Seattle-style caffeine, fashion, iPhones, and indie music. Look what happened to Williamsburg. Beware of these latte cappuccino guzzling creatures. Caffeine will block out the spoken word and that conversation will only get louder. Members of the literary diaspora unite and fight against these invasions until a small cup of coffee costs $10 and a bottle of beer goes for 12, and we won't have a choice but to let the wind speak for us in a Dylan tune.
Aplausamita. Is it, Patricia, is it that bad in your neighborhood in Bensonhurst?
No, it's still old school. It's more Republican. We're mostly Republican here.
Okay. So, okay, just curious. And I always thought the same thing. We had a poetry, we had a thing on Paris called Soul on Sunday, which we lost the place. It was started by a famous drummer, American. And so it was 90% Black American. And the neighborhood just didn't take to all of us out there talking real loud, you know, and stuff like that. The point is, I got up and I saw Ricky Stevenson. She hosts for San Francisco television, and her daughter was in the audience. And I said, Ricky, this is so much strong language. She said, my daughter's here to listen to poetry, Mo, not watch Mr. Rogers. So, Ricky Stevenson. Yeah. Okay, so Patricia, three's a charm.
Okay, written in 2014. New when I first moved here. Walked under the L, walked around the hood. Here we go. New Utrecht Avenue. Bite into its letters. Tastes like Brooklyn, the heart of Brooklyn. Raw and crusty, tough like the cast iron frame of the L above. New Utrecht Avenue. Ungentrified, guttural, honest, no BS. Working class, name is Dutch as in Brooklyn, remembers the Brooklyn of old, Brooklyn Dodger old, Abraham and Strauss old, Mama's spaghetti sauce, Bubby's potato kugel, egg creams and Ebbinger's cake, stickball, rock and roll doo-woppers, the real honeymooners of Bensonhurst. New Utrecht Avenue, old school Brooklyn, Saturday Night Fever Brooklyn, in faded photographs and on scratched 45s. Can't fight the changes in the hood, just ride the D train to Coney Island. Demographic shifts are everywhere in language and the shops along its route. But New Utrecht Avenue is still New Utrecht Avenue. Bite into its letters, tastes like Brooklyn, the heart of Brooklyn. Raw and crusty, tough like the cast iron frame of the L above. Yes.
Yes. Very good. Very good. All right. I think I think you explained it very well. Very, very well. All right. That'll put some people level-headed when they listen to that. Great. And one last question. Does Bensonhurst people have their own accent?
It's hard to tell. We're mostly now I think we're half Asian now.
Mhm.
They're
So you
called
can't understand most of the English, right?
mostly from they speak Cantonese. Most of them they have Mandarin. This area, believe it or not, they named a portion of 18th Avenue, which I'm near, Christopher Colombo Boulevard. But you see all the Asian stores there.
Go figure. Okay, I just asked you that because last night
And we still have a lot of old school people going towards the, we have sections, we still have the old timers, and they voted Republican. Bay 11th Street, trust me, I did the enumerating in the area for the census.
Okay. Well, anyway, I was just asking because last night on the break from Brownstone, you left the screen and people were saying, boy, does Patricia have some kind of accent.
But I wouldn't call it an accent.
Well, I wouldn't call it
basically
either.
New York. They don't know. See,
They don't know.
anybody from out of town, you know, when you say New York
Okay.
accent, it's usually a low class.
Okay.
It's not. It's like if I heard, I would have like said, excuse me. See, people out of town usually make those assumptions, and it's wrong and a little rude.
Don't
Sorry.
argue with
I'm not
Patricia.
gonna say I'm sorry.
Okay, now we're going to move on now, lady. Thank you for the Brooklyn News, for the Brooklyn Eagle, the Brooklyn Report. That was real. Thank you, Patricia. Those are nice poems. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to move over across the river. We're going to cross the Hudson here and go to Jersey City. And we're going to hear from Mega. Hello, Mega. You're on.
Hi, Mo. Hi, everyone. This is my first time on Angora Poets, so thanks so much for including me. I'm going to be reading 3 poems of mine. The first is called Silence, a Lost Art, and it was published in Nightingale and Sparrow in 2019, and it was also the finalist in the Pangolin Poetry Prize, which was just by Melissa Studdard. So it's called Silence, a Lost Art. Silence is neatly tucked between the layered wings of the soaring eagle. The shifting angle of his wings holds the distance between the spoken and the untold. Silence has its own semantics, the lexicon of the unspoken. I can carry the debilitating pain in my marred soul for eons before you see the tears trickling from my eyes. Silence, a deep soliloquy with time. You press ears to the throbbing heart, else would miss the pain. Silence is neatly tucked in the palm of a stillborn, dissolved in its muted stench. Silence is the only conversation for the reticent mind. As the moon brushes across my face, dripping the verses picked neatly by the time. Silence is a lost art, so sublime. And the second one,
You know what? That was your first poem ever read for us. So congratulations. And let's hear number 2. Break the silence with number 2.
the second one is called Peace, a Metaphor for Denial. And being a literary activist, I wrote this poem. And it was the national level winner for the Red Robinson Spring Mahogany Literary Prize for 2022. And it's also forthcoming in my chapbook by Finishing Line Press, which is called My Body is Not an Apology. Peace, a metaphor for denial. Peace, an act of ignorance, an act of denial, is not a bliss, no more. When the silence is gutted like a fish and the blood of your own fills the street, how long can you be the puppet in your own peaceful country, where the act of abandonment speaks a muted language for all the hearts trapped like sparrows on the other sides of the town? The wall creates a boundary between me and humanity. They are still considered illegal with one foot in my land, another bloodied and stuck in the barbed wire that I put around God's own country. I was born with the privilege to call the piece of earth as my own. No matter it is laced and seeped with someone else's blood now, it belongs to me now. The young boy is shot. The pavement is colored by the color of his blood, dark and useless to the people of this peaceful country. Those who pull out the armrest and the beach chairs to see the stars lit up the sky and the deafening noise muting the wails of a widowed mother. They sip the beer, as cold as their souls, leaving the scene with a shrug and a short sigh. Ignorance is bliss. Peace is a metaphor for denial in this country I call mine.
Yeah. Okay, so your critique of silence and your critique of empty speech. That's a good move. That's a good segue. Are you speaking about about India?
Actually, I'm speaking about the racial and the gender-based discrimination which happens everywhere, and I'm speaking about all the social issues which happen, which exists, and people who turn blind and deaf to it, who don't speak up for the people. And it's not about something which is happening directly to you. It might not be happening directly to you, but you have to stand up and speak for people who are unspoken and unheard. So you call to you, for you it might be like a peaceful country where all kinds of atrocities are happening to people around you. So,
Yeah.
for that, I use the title as a piece, a metaphor for denial. And that's how I come up with the poem.
Okay, because I heard you say you were a finalist with a Bengali
No.
competition.
No, it was the Poetry Matters Prize. It's a Virginia-based literary prize foundation, and they've been running the prize for 20 odd years. And it's a national level organization, and I won the first prize in the year 2020.
Congratulations.
Thank
Well,
you.
give us another prize. Poem number 2, please.
Poem number 3, actually. So this is called Love and Its Malleability, and it's published in the Fasihi magazine. It's called Love and Its Malleability. Some sounds are soft, malleable, ductile. Yielding to pressure, my supple tongue softly wraps around it. The vowels and consonants morphs and molds. They don't scrape you like war, like religion. Those pointy shards draws blood every time I try to gulp in. You try to lick, trying to smoothen the edges. Their stiff and irregular ends, they are the hardest to keep down. Love, languid and tender, with an ephemeral touch, barring the hard edges, sits well in the insides of my mouth. Everyone adapts to love. It comes down easily.
All right. Well, thank you. That's a very good way to introduce yourselves to us. Thank you, Mega. And we'll see you in the second round. Okay.
Thanks, Ma.
Very nice. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to cross the water over here to Paris this evening in Paris, as it is. And we're going to call on Kareem. Hello, Kareem.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Mo. So the first poem is a poem in French called Nu sous le maquillage, Naked Under the Makeup. It's wrote under the perspective of a woman, and it's talk about the time passing by and all the things. So, nu sous le maquillage, cela faisait si longtemps que je n'avais contemplé ce visage, c'est le mien pourtant. Et des amis à la chaîne, dont je connaissais la rengaine, un peu de tout, beaucoup de rien, des mecs qui disent vous au creux de mes seins, des mecs à problème, à boutons, à BM, des mecs qui s'en foutent, des longues et des courtes, des blagues de mauvais goût, amères, acides, des mecs un peu jaloux et puis d'autres lucides, Nu sous le maquillage, cela faisait si longtemps que je n'avais contemplé ce visage, c'est le mien pourtant. Nu sous le maquillage, et des rides comme des routes, à chaque rire me rappelle ma jeunesse et mes doutes, les amants que j'ai saisis sur le feu déjà fourni de la passion, du désir. La femme est apparue et la fille a dû jouir. That was the first poem.
Well, okay, that was good. That was good. All right.
Thank you.
Keep that wall against those mechs, huh? And for the mech just means guy or dude, for those of you, when he kept repeating the mech, the mech. Okay, number 2, Kareem.
Number 2, it's in French, also in French, and it's called C'est au-delà, which means beyond. C'est au-delà de ce que tu sais, de ce que tu vois, des danses mirifiques m'évoquent la tique, les pensées élastiques que je te dois. Des chevaux de fer habillés de lumière hennissent fiers de leur crinière de bois. Victime d'un doux songe, de petits câbles que je ronge, de vérité et de mensonge, de la sueur que j'éponge à mon front. Polymorphe et doué, ton discours est rodé, mais d'ores et déjà, et poliment, tu doutes. Pour les données de ton plan, tu as sacrifié l'enfant, et ta faim à des relents de femme inassouvis, dominante dictatrice qui dompte les vulgaires, domestique la foule, des dizaines de dizains à la main des doctrines et puis des moyens, dramaturgie de gare, de simologie constante, ton dynamisme diminue et la drogue prend le pas. Le divin est divisé, la population déprimée, comme si elle devinait, au beau milieu d'une danse, que le diable s'est diversifié, qu'il veut régir la France. Discrètement, il distribue des dividendes de dû à des députés dissolus d'un don saugrenu qui dissémine les dissensions, se dispute, se disloque. Je dispose d'une raison, donc je dissipe, je disserte, je dis prose.
Oh, yes, yes. Ah oui, très bien. And you mentioned how the population in France is being divided against itself. And it's the same thing in the States as well, Kareem, the same thing, as I observed so well over the last couple of weeks. And there was a big rally in Paris again yesterday. I went to it, and it was, they were basically saying, whether you're for vaccine or against vaccine, we don't care. We just want to stay united, that we're not dictated to in an authoritarian manner by the government. And there were thousands of people saying, that's it. We're not fighting over vax or anti-vax. We just don't want the government putting all these new controls on us, particularly immunization, vaccine passports. So you're right. There's a fight back going on in Paris. There is a fight back.
So,
Okay.
and the third text will be a little song.
Okay, Three's a Charm with Kareem's song. Okay, Kareem.
Through the night, I hear thunder, but it's only in my mind. And when the darkness is almost over, comes to me the willing to fight. Deep in the desert, lost in the wind. And I wonder if you still remember my name, oh my name. As wild as a river, I'm flowing down the street. No one to talk to, and no one to meet. In the night train, in my brain, still love you, love you. On the TV shows, when the wind blows, still love you. Through the night, I hear voices, but it's only in my mind. And I wonder if you still remember my name. Is it still the same?
Hey, nice piece.
Sorry for my guitar, it wasn't very well tuned.
Well, you'll just have to stay after class. That's all there is to it. No, it sounded good. You're gonna get that guitar tuning just right one day. But in the meantime, you're doing a hell of a job. So thank you very much, Kareem. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Mo.
Okay. So now we're going to stay in Paris and feature a New Jersey-born poet that we positively call the Judge, and that is here in Paris, Bill Strangmeier. Hello, Bill.
Hey, Mom. Hi, everybody. Okay, a quote from a book called The Stones of Summer by Down Horseman. Cognosco propter non sum. It's not I think, therefore I am. It's I know, so I am not. Gloaming along. There are disadvantages to precocity as much as advantages to immaturity. One being heightened perception of decline, not nearly as pleasant as mere naivete, but the proper taint of a generation can be the interminable babble of philosophical meanderings interrupting catchy old songs inside one's head. And the themes of those songs, was it lost love giving way to escape, or dances taking on a heavy significance? I had a girl, but the room was humming harder. Na, 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 beneath the diamond sky, as younger fools reproduce just attitude, and accusations of treason are left unsaid. To condense, if you follow my glance, what are the words that remain, that will remain, for it's all just words after some years? Ask any dopey believer what really happened if you need a good laugh, and take some advice. You never know.
Okay, I think that's a wrap, huh, Bill?
And it's a wrap.
You never know. Okay, all right. You just referred to people, something about people realizing what they can't do. I was paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Because you hit something in the 20th century that was very, very keynote. Carl Jung, after a while, realized after he got over his romantic dream and was writing the Red Book and had that 2 hours of hallucination, said he came out of that and he wanted to emphasize people realizing their incapacity. And he said, why? Because if you realize your incapacity, you have real things to work on and you have a realistic mission. So rather than saying, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, he was saying, tell me what you can't do. So there you go. You were chiming in with Carl Jung.
Yeah, we've always been good friends. Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, Bill.
Okay, from Robert Lowell's poem, Eliot Dead and You Saying, and Who Is Left to Understand My Jokes? Endgame and comedy. I seem to hear them hovering about me and close by, the angels with their hearty and invisible soft cry, the black wings clawed, sending gusts of air and their melody raucous, bending my ear. If my time has now come, then I don't understand, or I do, and there's nothing that's really too grand attached to my drama, my loves in this life, or else the New Order X-rays have abolished belief. For centuries, we have been fed on the stuff of the alpha monkey howlers who do not have enough. We believe in hero saviors who will wipe away the past, replace cupidity and horror with the fact that we're the best. The children act out comedy, prognosticate reform, not knowing it's a clown show and that they're riding on a storm that puffs the air into the creed and gives the loving sweet, while happiness and loss of fear give strength until we quit. I sit in a backwater finishing school and count the insults dealt by ghosts of present idols, cause of where and when I dwelt, because of worshipful desire and must, half knowing fake nobility is bought at bitter cost. The end of all the poetry is a bountiful waste of sin and the loss of the height and gravitas they tossed off with a grin. But poets have to be crazy and still shouldn't be put in a cage or live in the school's dank loony bin. It's for this that they die in a rage. We do not change so very often and the bastards stay the same, but now they claim adulthood to keep handing out the blame for human nature, freedom, disobedience, and laws to continue to bespell us, and we drink it to the lees. So this and that and this and that will keep the dance alop, forever and forever faking fun until the pain can't stop. Adrift into eternity like duty-laden donkeys with a load, we hobble to their heaven with slim hopes of meeting God. And when I die and when I'm gone to my punishment and reward, will little nightgown cherubs then give me room and board? Or will I call a mulligan for another shot at loss, be able to tell it all my lies unto its ugly face?
Okay, wow. Well, you slammed shut on that one, Bill. All right. But the poets are crazy and should be put in a cage.
Take a mulligan for another loss.
Okay. All right. Well, that affirms what we do. Okay. What are you going to do from your cage now, Bill? Three's a charm.
Okay, more along the similar lines. A quote from the actress Anne Hathaway. I have no aspirations of world domination through the pop charts, none at all. Apotheosis of the it. It is going this way and it goes not another, that your truth is the lie that they sell. Record your actions as you fill in this form, not telling can cost you dear. Use Sanskrit. If they sing of the way, I will follow the path, but what will you do for my boredom or pain? With your fear and your kindness so small and so fat, you'll sure kill me off in the end and at last. I've tried their milk water argot of healing. Would you sell yourself for a grin? The fight goes briskly for butchers' hearts, in fur with humorous drama now pacing the wall. Was there ever a chance to get the fuck out of the trap that the suckers lay for us all? Or maybe a way to escape the doubt that cut off our legs and leads to our fall? Always the winners grow fat or old. A vicious heart has fueled their rule. The bitter shall praise the loud and the bold, and who is the saint and who is the fool? It is going this way and it goes not another. Your truth is the bait that they sell. Record your actions as you follow this march. Not loving can cost you dear. Believe. It is in this way that the vermin come. Their languorous charm is money. Belief is quickly reduced into form and by rank. Codes not pay are what's pantomimed. Laugh, laugh, laugh with meaning spilling out. I live on borders bold as money the god. I cannot call them by human names or smile. Their rubber boxes jingle too loud. They will win in the end, for the contraband pays. Their fads will then dictate all of the laws. The firelight is smooth and enameled white. We do not sing, we pose. It is going this way and it goes not another. Your lie is the truth that they sell. Record your actions as you fill in this form. Not telling can cost you dear. Use Sanskrit.
Okay. Uh-huh. When are you giving lessons? Use Sanskrit. Okay, Bill. That was tough, baby. That was good. Okay. And you hearken to what we hear. Everyone has a price.
Yeah, I don't know.
It came out early in your piece. Okay. Not everyone,
That
but not everyone, but most people have a price. That's right. Okay. Money to God. Let's move from money to God over here now to San Francisco. We will cross the water, cross the continent, and go into the wildfire side of California and ask Dave Wilson to come on board. Dharma Dave, you're on.
Okay. So today is August 1st. It's Jerry Garcia's birthday today. And I had the great luck to see him perform hundreds of times. And the most soulful, charismatic performer I've ever encountered. So here's a poem after one of those performances that I wrote after one of those performances with the Grateful Dead way back when. Ode to the Dead. Oh, colors shifting, waves rippling, wind blowing, rain falling, and music playing. First, tune up strum chords, growing volume of sounds, drums and piano and always guitars, 3 guitars waving together and jamming. Oh, music, oh, colors, oh, bright sun above, wine flowing, herbs burning, faces contorting, in streaming, beaming ecstasy dreaming, living, oh, living, music singing, singing love songs, work songs, bad man songs, my songs and your songs, giving songs to people who grow happy and peaceful in the web, loving, moving smoothly, dancing, oh, dancing, like waves of grain or wind or sea, ripples of human beings, vibrant, allowable, moving, consciousnesses expanding, eyes sparkling, lips parting, faces shining. Oh, life! Oh, dead, defy the dead. Proclaim the living. Oh, dead, the music singing. Waves of music, waves of joy surround us, abound within us. Cool drops of water touch our skin. It looks like rain, it feels like rain, it must be rain. Oh, rain. Feel the music, feel the rain. The dead proclaim the living, the laughing, the loving. Oh, we are the living. Dead proclaim the living. In music, singing words, poetry playing. Oh, joy. Oh, beauty, wind, rain, waves, and waves and waves of people, sighing friends of common souls, enemies of common foes. Anger freezes, living, breathing, feeling cool spring breezes. Oh, dead, proclaim the living. It was fun. I
Okay.
really had fun that day.
Yeah. Okay. Now, um, a little while ago, I read and then forgot what was the reference by the band of the Grateful Dead? Who were the Grateful Dead that the Grateful Dead named themselves after?
Well, so the story is the original name of the band was the Warlocks. And then they heard, and they were performing and playing as the Warlocks. Then they heard that there was already a band called that had put out a single. They said, well, we have to change our name. So Jerry Garcia and Phil Lesh got together and were brainstorming, and Phil opened the Funkin' Wagnalls dictionary at random. Jerry put his finger down, and he landed on Grateful Dead. And it was one of those aha moments. It's like, ah. And then they found out that it's actually references a very ancient folk cycle of folk tales. And the story is that a fellow is happening along the road and finds some people who are mistreating a corpse that was abandoned there. So he sends them off, gets the dead man properly buried, and then later on in his travels and adventures, he requires some aid, and he receives the help of the Grateful Dead man. And that's just one cycle. Also turned out to be connected directly with the Egyptian Book of the Dead, has references as well. So there's some cosmic stuff going on, if you believe that kind of thing, or sheer coincidence.
All right. Right. Choose your belief. All right. So there's a little summary of the Grateful Dead. How about a little summary of poem number 2, David?
Yeah, well, so even though I've known, I chose my career to be a poet since I was about 15. So what? I had to work many different jobs over the last decades. But it doesn't mean I wasn't in my head, right? So here's work poem, Laughter Days and Broken Bits of Past and Future Storms waif past the office buildings, hotel, warehouses, and freeway littered with Burger King wrappers. The beer bottles pile up in the parking lot and fill my soaking plastic sack. Smoking cigarettes of clove, tree branches as we call them, exhaled in gray rings after sausage and eggs over easy at break time, and trying to pretend that the coffee's good and the land-filled bay a vast clear plain with snowy mountains all about.
Okay. Well,
But I put it
all right. Don't take any wooden nickels, Dave.
No.
You got it. What to believe. Okay. So how about Three's a Charm, Dave?
Okay. So, and before that, I do have to note a passing last Thursday here in San Francisco. We lost another one of our great individuals and a former poet laureate, Janice Mercatani, co-founder of Glide Church here in the city, died last Thursday. So this is a great loss to the city, to the world of humanitarian good works, and also to the world of poetry. So
her series was hot.
yeah. So
okay.
And my poems are a bit lighter than today, particularly. Here's another summer poem, and this is one time before going to another concert. And this is called Santa Barbara, California, at a giant burger stand before a concert. Stray, gray, and bleary, Santa Barbara morning, need air to write, poems to breathe. Radio voices whisper, fan churns and chugs, crow, caw, caw, consciousness cause. To whom this may or may not concern, I am trapped between four walls in a giant burger establishment. Tom Phipps in Shangri-La telling me this is where it is at, man. Me a little leery. That bus ride was no piece of cake. Rather, a thermos full of gin. Smoking El Dopo, El Rosencruz, the temple, drowned in sorrows. Drugs are no excuse. So, what's your excuse? Reawakened in the magnolia fragrance, born again and again, again, I wonder clearly. Poem's voice, speak through me. The channel that has been blocked seeks the catharsis, burst free flow energy, carousing, constructing new intercut turnings. A lady waiting for me at the bus stop, me with indigestion, clinging to straws in the fog, the back of a hamburger stand. The eye watcheth over us, waiting on a red-headed lass. Sunny times at the beach. Trolls in Ventura. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Okay. You're looking at your screen. I did assume you were done with that poem when you said,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow was the last two words of the poem. The poem is over, yes. Thanks
Okay.
for letting me read it to you. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for reading it to us. Okay, Dave. Glad you mentioned them trolls again. That paranormal. All right. Okay. Well, now we're going to let's see. What we're going to do now is cross the water again and come back here to Paris. And right before we do, Angoma, can you hear us? Okay. Well, he left his chair. I was going to say hello to him. And now we're going to return to Paris with our trilingual poet, and we'll hear what languages she wishes to render in. So we welcome Caroline Adler, Miko. Hello, Caroline.
Hello, how are you? I think I will begin by reading in French. Then after the pause, I'll manage to find English or Spanish poem. I wanted to find one Margaret Atwood poem, but I don't have this next to me, so I will read a poem, not as an answer, but a sort of echo to one of Karim's poem. It's about getting older. And it's a sad love poem.
Similar to his song, Do You Still Love Me? Do You Still Remember? Okay. Okay, well, we are ready. This will be in French?
Yes, this will be in French.
About getting older. Okay.
I wrote it in 2013.
Okay.
2013. So.
Voilà, on y va.
Je ne veux pas de tes caresses. Je ne veux pas sentir ton regard glisser sur ma peau. Cette douceur à laquelle rien n'échappe. Ce regard plein d'amour et de compassion qui me fait réaliser que le temps a passé et ne m'a pas épargné. Je ne veux pas de ta douceur, de ton amour. Je ne veux pas que tu vois ça. À quel point j'ai mal, à quel point j'ai peur de m'être trompée, d'être passée à côté de moi. Alors je fais la pitre. Je joue à ce que je ne suis plus déjà depuis longtemps, cette enfant insolente, insouciante, qui n'a jamais vraiment existé. Je ne veux pas d'enfant de toi, ni de ton attention. Je ne veux pas que tu me vois, que tu découvres au-delà des mots l'horreur que j'ai traversée. J'aimerais rester cette enfant naïve et empotée, trop gentille et dévouée, docile, suiveuse, curieuse, toujours prête à rire de tes pitreries. Déjà alors, je jouais double jeu, jouer pour oublier la triste réalité, jouer, jouer encore et rire toujours plus fort, toujours plus grand pour ne plus voir l'horreur du monde. Tu m'as tant fait rêver. Mais rire très fort, ça ne console pas. Pour consoler, il faut aimer. Prendre le temps de pleurer avec, accompagner dans la douleur, l'écouter, l'aimer, la découvrir, plaie à plaie. J'ai jamais voulu que tu vois ça, complice de déni, à jamais unis, à jamais séparés par ce mur d'illusions savamment orchestré. Le temps des larmes est venu, épuisé, loin des regards, je pleure. Je pleure tout ce que j'ai senti, je pleure l'horreur. Je pleure les flots de tristesse trop longtemps contenus, tant pis pour le barrage. L'absence a trop duré, je prends le large. Je mets les voiles, cap de bonne espérance, haut les cœurs, comme on dit. Et chante, matelote.
Pleurer, pleurer, pleurer. La tristesse. Cry, cry, cry for the sadness. Okay. That was strong, very, very strong, very confessional. Yes. Okay, may we hear number 2, Caroline?
Yes. Well, it will be another one, quite realistic and confessional too, about intimacy. I wrote it a week after the Charlie Hebdo's terrorist attack in 2015, and
that was in Liberia, yes.
This was at the newspaper.
Yeah, the civil war that he launched.
Charlie.
No, Charlie Hebdo's terrorist
Charlie Hebdo terrorist attack.
Okay, because Samuel Doe launched a civil war in Liberia. Okay, good enough.
No.
I stand corrected. Okay.
No, it was here in Paris.
No, I'm just saying Samuel Doe. You can look it up.
And
okay,
so that's it.
Okay.
So it's called intimity. Le droit de dire non. Le droit de ne pas dire à quoi je pense. Le droit de faire la gueule sans que ce soit la faute à quelqu'un. Le droit de ne pas avoir envie, le droit de ne pas sourire, le droit de ne pas y aller, le droit de ne pas répondre aux messages, le droit d'aimer, le droit de ne pas avoir envie de le partager avec la personne concernée. Le droit de haïr ou pas. Le droit d'être trop fatigué pour ça. Le droit d'avoir envie d'autre chose que de passer encore une fois par la colère. Le droit de me couper de tout pour surtout ne pas le sentir. Le droit de craquer. Le droit de ne plus y arriver. Le droit de saturer. Le droit de ne pas écrire. Le droit de ne plus avoir envie de dire. Le droit de regarder de belles histoires d'amour à défaut de les vivre en vrai. Le droit d'aimer et être aimé. Sans être menacé pour ça, sans être accusé pour ça, sans être questionné pour ça, interrogé, harcelé, surveillé, contrôlé, être contrainte à dire je l'aime et entendre je ne te crois pas. Puis tu ne peux pas dire ça. Si, j'ai le droit. Je voudrais aller où c'est silence, où il n'y a pas besoin de mots pour se dire qu'on s'aime parce qu'on y est, qu'on baigne dedans. Et cette même putain de phrase qui se répète en boucle inlassablement, je l'aime, comme une parole morte. qui des années après flotterait encore dans l'air, cet impossible oubli, une cicatrice de l'espace-temps, un bug. Souviens-toi, n'oublie pas, c'est arrivé. Ça a été possible un jour d'aimer à ce point. Ça vaut le coup de m'accrocher encore un peu ou pas? C'était un amour vain. Tout ça n'était qu'un rêve, du baratin. Un mensonge peut-il être beau quand il se moque à ce point? Le droit à mes émotions, sans me sentir obligée d'assurer, sans parler pour les morts, sans agir pour eux non plus. J'ai déjà bien assez à agir pour moi, à parler pour moi ou à me taire aussi pour moi. Le droit à mes non-dits, le droit à mon silence, le droit de ne pas sentir, le droit de ne pas savoir, le droit d'être en déni, le droit d'avoir besoin de penser à autre chose qu'à toute cette horreur, le droit de parler de tendresse, parce que j'en ai besoin, à en crever. Tout ce chagrin trop grand pour moi et que j'ai beau faire, j'y arrive pas à me consoler. C'est pourtant pas faute d'aimer, j'ai essayé, ça a foiré. Dedans, tout au fond, il y a la petite qui se planque sous les ronces. Elle veut pas y aller, elle veut pas sentir, elle veut pas pleurer, elle veut pas le dire, elle veut que je la laisse tranquille, elle veut que je la laisse rêver. Ah, comment ça aurait été bien si... Ah, comment elle aurait été heureuse, ah, comment elle l'aimait. Et que c'était juste ça qu'elle voulait. Mais en fait, ça pourrait être encore mieux si elle acceptait de sortir de sa cachette. Si. Elle a tenté. Elle s'en est pris plein la gueule, encore une fois, et puis une autre. Alors c'est non. Elle ne sortira pas, elle ne veut pas, et moi, à côté, j'ai pu faire. J'ai pas appris qu'à faire semblant de... que même pas mal. Facile à dire. Alors je fais comme si ça va passer, puis ça passe pas. Puis je l'aime quand même, puis je me vautre, puis ça fait un chagrin en plus, puis un autre, puis un autre, puis un autre, puis stop. J'ai dépensé tout mon espoir. Il reste la foi en soi.
Ainsi, un acte de résistance, grand acte de résistance poétique.
Mm.
Yeah, according to them, we don't have the right to smile, let alone sing and dance and meet each other without a chaperone.
Mm.
Yeah, okay.
It was in reaction because anybody, peculiarly opposite people to the newspaper was saying, "We are Charlie, we are Charlie." And for me, whoa, it was my favorite newspaper when I was a teenager, and I bought it every Wednesday when I came back from the college, because the newspaper was just next to my college when I was 14, 15.
Right.
So it was touching me too close to react like politically engaged.
Mm-hmm.
We are fighting terrorists and anything. No, it was too sad, too touchy. So
Okay, thank you. And now, may we hear Three's a Charm?
yes, and it would be a quiet about cinema, coming out from cinema by night. And it will be in French too. J'ai pas bougé mon cul du siège quand la salle s'est rallumée. Pas envie de me presser. Mes yeux couraient sur le générique, à la recherche d'un nom connu, un truc, un indice, qui sait. Un nouveau départ, un autre film, une autre histoire, un clin d'œil bonus pour les attardés du ciné comme moi. Ce soir, je suis seule. Enfin, pas totalement. Il y a l'ouvreur qui passe entre les sièges avant la séance prochaine. Je prends le temps de souffler. Dehors, j'ai pas envie de devoir parler. Pour ça que je suis venue seule. Ah tiens, c'est vrai ça, je suis venue seule. Et l'ouvreur n'attend pas que les gens rentrent, mais que je me décide à sortir. C'était la dernière séance. Respirer à fond l'air froid qui sent pas trop la pollution ce soir. Le vent l'a balayé sur la banlieue. Je marche. Pas envie de côtoyer des gens dans les transports, ça attendra un peu. C'est pas encore le dernier bus. Au pire, je prendrai un octilien. Rester encore un peu dans les vapeurs du film, entre deux mondes. Plus trop ailleurs, pas encore à la maison. Je flotte plus que je ne marche dans cette ville étrangement familière et pourtant autre. C'est moi qui ai changé. Je rentre de voyage intérieur. Je l'emporte avec moi. J'avais rendez-vous avec moi. Ça fait du bien de me retrouver. Je laisse mon corps rythmer sa marche irrégulière, souple et dansante. Équilibre sur le bord du trottoir, détour par des escaliers pour le point de vue. Arrêt à écouter chanter la fontaine, le vent dans les feuilles, sa caresse dans mes cheveux et sur mes joues.
Caressed by the wind on my hair. Very nice. So do you go to the cinema alone like you did in this poem?
I love going alone to the cinema.
Okay.
I really love it, but I can't. I'm not vaccinated, but I
Okay.
can remember it.
Well, you remembered it well this evening, in
Mm.
Paris this evening.
Mm.
Okay, well, thank you, Caroline, and we'll see you next round. And maybe if you choose, you can read in English and Spanish. That'll be very nice. That's World Cafe, people. Okay, let's move along. Let's move along right here in Paris and call up a co-publisher of an editor and poet of Poets Wear Prada, Jack Cooper. There you go.
Yeah, no, I've unmuted myself. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. I have some summer poems. The first of which is called Aphelion. Aphelion being the furthest point at which the sun is from the earth. Aphelion. Half moon, cleaved like a melon, sight unseen. Breeze through these mean streets moves, pool to one side, other molten mirage. Une nuit celluloid, a movie still, hotter than blazes, this cliched July. Cinema, inferno. Steadfast as sidewalks, ink, awash on the page, will not dry. I cultivate rectitude, going about the city alone. Species reconnoiter of summer dress, sweet, cotton, particular, clinging, a benevolent transformation the Gorgons would have dreamed, turning themselves into Liberty bells, and I open a crack. Geometry in beauty, mountain in math, rise above, feeling no interference from the sky. Ideal the eyes may face, the sun show west, the moon continue to climb. Biology, what difference if influence with the tides ride the world over and leave little changed? Commonality cease to accept its fate.
Okay, all right. Okay, that was nice. Now,
Thank
my
you.
question was, you said you were reading summer poem, and then you referred to that part in the solar system when the Earth is the sun or the Earth are the furthest apart.
Right.
Wouldn't that be winter?
It would be, but it's not.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the curious thing.
Really? Is that solar science true?
Well, should I quickly check that?
It's
I mean,
up to you.
I've forgotten. I mean, I wrote this poem, I guess, about 8 years ago.
Mhm.
And I mean, I still lived in Brooklyn then. And yes, I mean, well, yeah, it's true. Aphelion is because hold on.
Summer and winter depends on the tilt of the earth, no? Rather than
Yes, that's right.
from the sun, yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you spell that, Jack? Ophelion, because I just want to note it.
No, it's spelled Aphelion, and it has an opposite, which is when the sun is closest to the earth, which is heliphelion, I believe.
Wouldn't that be aphelion?
Which?
Isn't it aphelion?
Do you mean my pronunciation?
Yeah.
I believe, again, I'm only imperfectly recalling. I would have thought it was aphelion, but I think I checked the pronunciation and it was aphelion. Let me just quickly check because I have my dictionary right here. Aphelion, and let's see, it is aphelion. You're right, Bill.
Aphelion, yeah.
And it's the point farthest from the sun in the path of an orbiting celestial body, such as planet, like the Earth.
Okay.
And it's the opposite of perihelion.
All right. Well, we stand informed on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
may we hear poem number 2?
Please. Yes, this is called Belveze, which is a small town in the south of France where I have spent many happy times. It's called Belveze. Tonight, beneath the midnight, sits my solitude in fits gentle and calm. My cigarette burns. I am far from gone, though the dread obscure creeps like an insect toward me from the world beyond. The fantasy that invades with soft music from some unaccustomed reveler softly purrs, wee, wee. A car door moistly slams. Inevitable, disgruntled voices vie with leaves. The branches sway. My brain, still near sleep, lulled outside, cerebral, shares blindness with the stone, helpless, immovable, in the living breeze that lights belief unseen.
All right. The living breeze that lights the leaf unseen.
Yeah.
Yeah. That brings it home.
Okay.
That brings it home real well. Okay, then we're asking three's a charm, Jack.
Here's the charm. All right, I've got one. I had one. Let me see if I can find it. This should be it. Yes. This is called the Ark of Love. And it combines, I guess, some themes of tonight, both summer and the loss of love. And an ark is spelled A-R-K. Hard night out there when heart contends on earth. Whim overhead sustains its rain of stars. Ourselves aglow, we stare, yearning downward, where, insouciant in love, passion preserves as coruscating mist, the pool of summer, undulant below, potion-filled, velour. The grace of fins relieves farewell loss of arms. Could words evolve breath to bear thought through tears? But a dream, impelled surmise and summonses, the might yet be salvageable, bids ride on a flood of regret together as swans. 2 by 2 and 2, the two too late confide what we too, luminous ones, had seemed possessed. Uncoupled now, neither respond nor inspire.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, friend. Thank you all.
Well, okay. Bring on the summer poems.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring them on.
Sometime.
And
Oh,
at this
awesome.
point, you talked about in your past poem there tonight about a cliched July and I thought after COVID, I'll take what was once a cliched July.
Yeah.
You know that after COVID, give me something like hot, humid,
Yeah.
tourists in Paris. I'll take it, man. I'll take it.
Yeah, I had Steve. Of course, there has been no cliche July this July,
No.
at least here in Paris. I mean, of course, I had Stevie Wonder in mind. You know, who had released an album called "Hotter Than July," which was hotter than July.
Right. Yeah. Well, it rained a lot in Paris this summer. Yes, it's been raining a lot.
Yeah, and it's been cool here all this past week. There was like 5 days of warm weather, and before that, it's been cool. You know, it's really.
Yeah, it has been, and I didn't miss it while I was gone. But I was told I went and saw a guy who, lives on the street, and he was just like complaining. He said it rained the whole time.
Yeah.
Just rained and rained, and this is strange with climate change, people, because me over in New York, it was scorching hot, and when it rained in New York and Hoboken and Newark and Paris, the places I went, it rained in flood proportions. So
there was flooding in Hoboken. There was flooding in New York, I heard.
There was flood, and Newark, as usual. Newark always floods downtown, and Newark flooded too. So.
In Germany, there were really serious floods.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yes, there were. Jesus. In fact, we saw photos of Germany where not just cars being swept away, but entire houses swept away in Germany. So one place is flooded, the other place is drought, another place is on fire, and the food lines remain long. So yeah, that's the outside world forecast for the moment. And okay, so thank you, Jack. That was very nice.
Thank you all.
Good to hear from you. And now we will return, I think, to New Jersey. Is that right, Angora? You're in Brooklyn? Not New Jersey, Brooklyn.
No, I'm in Harlem.
Oh, now you're in Harlem. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm on the couch. I know that much. I can tell you for sure where I'm at. I'm on the couch, brother. So good to see you. And what have you to present for us?
I don't know. Let's try this. through gut bucket blues. Naked and raw as a bulldog's bite. Jack Daniels straight, broken heartbeat. Lucky strike dangling from these lips. Dominoes keep my company. Playing for spare change on the sidewalk, my occupation since the factory closed 6 years ago. This depression rents space in the rooms of my cerebrum, and eviction is meaningless to ghost. Demons break dance in my psyche, the constant cry of crackheads trying to cash WIC checks with a backbeat. Empty pockets beg for spare change. Bailout bankers beg for dollars. Lecherous pickpockets of the poor. The ravens nevermore. Sits like a vulture on the carcass of the phoenix. Cold is unaffordable. Me and Slaughter don't write happy shit cause we ain't happy shit. Chattel slavery is still alive. The crap game of life is on and everyone's in debt to the house. Crapped out trying to get a handout for chips. But what's a chip without a fish when nobody's giving out poles? So I sing gut bucket blues, naked and raw as a bulldog's bite. Jack Daniels straight, broken heartbeat.
Give it up for Gut Bucket Blues, rendered in poetry and music accompaniment. All right. Okay, Angoma. So you've been, were you permanently, what do you call it, laid off, let go in that factory 6 years ago?
It wasn't personal. The poem wasn't personal. It wasn't about me.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Good enough, I hope. All right. So, and are you busking on the street, or was that just an image of, again, the struggling artist?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That was just kind of representative of how people are struggling, period. And that poem was written like 2009.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't right now.
After the big
I'm digging through the
walls.
streets, figuring out what I got here. This was written April the 2nd, 2005. It was on the day the Pope died, and the name of the poem is On the Day the Pope Died, and it was actually written on the day the Pope died.
Okay, so are we gonna
like about 7:30 in the morning, and I was writing, and it was taking me a while, so I went on till about 9, and then I took a break. And then I went back and started writing on it again about 2 in the afternoon. And then I checked and he had died for real.
Okay. So that would be which Pope? Because they all die sooner or later.
What's making it so bad is I don't remember.
Was that the Polish Pope, John?
Yeah, John.
Yeah. The one that wanted it.
Died. On the day the Pope died, no one knew that he'd been dead since before 9/11. No one told you. No one paid enough attention to push him over. Obviously not crusaders praying to Jesus while bombing mosques. They say he was a man of peace, admonished by St. Laurent Hill for the sins of pedophile priests. Gas prices rising like the flames of souls dying for oil, and the lies about those weapons of mass destruction yet to be found. Tsunamis rage like the tears of the planets, wounded and ravaged by a raped ecology as water becomes the next commodity. It wasn't on the Disney Channel, so don't look on Fox 5 or Hot 97 where misled hip hoppers pimp Coca-Cola and labor leaders disappear from Colombia where the peso is worth even less than the dollar. Did the evangelicals tell you in church on Sunday that Social Security has been hijacked by gangsters, the Christians that lied and stole 2 elections? So on the day the Pope died, the most impoverished people in the land, who are mostly black, beige, and brown, still genuflect to a white man. Heads bowed, kneeling on the ground, giving their hard-earned cash to the richest men on earth while the kingdom of heaven is within. So on the day the Pope died, the truly faithful cried and gave praise to Mary, the Black Madonna, otherwise known as Isis, marched in the street bearing death symbols, turned their backs to the Vatican for not excommunicating Hitler, opened their closets and burned sage to exorcise demons, set fire to fascists disguised as Republicans, fanned the coals while channeling Phoenix. On the day the Pope died, El Salvadoran martyrs were still not vindicated. Archbishop Romero turned in his grave as the death of Sister Dorothy Stang of Brazil is being investigated, and the conspiracy of murder continues against peasants protecting the rainforest. Angels of justice guard brave priests like Reverend Leclerc and Sandoval as they preach the theology of liberation in a land that is evil and hostile. So on the day the Pope died, it seemed as if no one had been listening, as millions of oppressed nationalities left the earth for man-made diseases, while coat hangers returned for those seeking abortions. Still, Mumia Abu Jamal sits on death row, and our children suffer death from McDonald's, trying to pay back student loans with salaries from Starbucks, dreaming of making a living on Def Jam, combing the country doing open mics and poetry slams to realizing the dreams turned into a nightmare as Def Jam poets line up for welfare. So on the day the Pope died, we pray for a new regime that truly reflects the culture of life, where the strong will truly protect the weak, as bells ring in the Vatican, sending vibrations throughout the planets for the true liberation of the human spirit.
Okay. Applause. Applause. Now, you spoke of liberation theology, and I was among a group of them, Catholic liberation theologists. And during the Pope's reign, they decided to break tradition and allow women to participate in and parts of the service that were usually reserved to only men priests. And for that, they were threatened to be excommunicated. And the word came down from the Archbishop of Pittsburgh, who said, you can rely that the Pope will support my position. There will be no women participating in the Mass the way you have had them participate. Yeah. And so that was a big deal.
Yeah, big
deal. Okay. So do you have Three's a Charm?
Okay. This is called Just Another Nigger from Palestine. I'm trying to find out why Salam Alaikum and Thou Shalt Not Kill can't seem to just get along on the same page, especially when the holy books tell us, in my Father's house there are many mansions. If it were not so, I would not have told you. It seems there should be enough real estate to go around. Certainly there's room at the table for everyone, but I guess they weren't listening, pissed off that all the loaves, fish, and wine ran out when they crashed the party. Rowdy, unruly motherfuckers, not listening. Figured they need not pay attention. Nobody told them he was a graduate of Egypt's mystery school. Dread head, melanin, copper skin. To them, he was just another bastard, a single teenage mother's son from across the road on the poor side of territory occupied, washing feet and hanging out with lepers, a carpenter who earned a living doing manual labor without a union. How dare a nigga question empires, kicking money changes out of temples, a revolutionary advocating liberation of the soul. He was framed on false charges and arrested, sold out for 20 pieces of silver, a political prisoner in a kangaroo court with no trial, stoned and crucified at daybreak. Now, karmic debt stands forever like a mountain on a rich man's chest, ignoring the fact that God has many names. After all, peace on earth, goodwill to men has no profit. When they buried a nigga, how could they know that he'd forever rise again?
Okay. Okay. Thank you for mentioning apartheid, Israel, Palestine. Yes. Okay. And you know, Wall Street grows fat and the West Bank is broke. The West Bank is broke.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Angoma. And hang around for the second round here. We will be doing in a few minutes. And now it's come my turn to read. And I'm going to read, Patricia, I'm going to read the same 3 poems I read last night because I'm lazy. So for those of you who did last night, it won't sound as lazy. And so here we go. Let me look them up. Okay. Now the first poem, because I was in New York for off and on for 3 weeks, and near my last day, I spoke to the poet wife of deceased poet Steve Delashinsky. I spoke to his poet wife, Yuko Otomo. So it brought to mind the tribute I wrote to Steve when he died on September 16th, 3 years ago. And this tribute simply goes, you tap the blue note, baby. Blue note, like pain, you're over that. Not as sorrow, leave that to us. No, man, you tapped the blue note, baby. No more dollar down, dollar a month, buy my book. You paid with prime interest. No, not lonesome where you are, not now in that sphere of cosmic cacophony. Sun raw, sun. You smiled when I told you jazz is a way in here, a way out. And now that you're there, can you tell us more and more what it's all about? You blew the transparent cobalt, seeing through to the other side. Hey, man, I hear they're an effortless fit, those golden slippers you walk into and beyond, that hall of celestial fame. Way out, and really not long gone, 'cause it's all back here, and yet so far gone, out there, beyond the 8-bar line, beyond the count, beyond the last metaphor. Okay. So now my next poem is one I wrote staring out my kitchen window over a courtyard here in Paris and seeing this wonderful flower below me. And it's called Orchid, and it comes up when the weather's so good. Sunday morning, dew point drips, dream, awake, egg world, weightless, white, yellow, yolk, chestnut arb, blackbird glide, wind gentle, violet orchid, perfume petal, breath flows, hidden river, ocean, ear nothing, eye mystery, golden grace, mind at peace, heart happy over all. There we go. Okay, and now my this poem I'd like to say is dedicated to she who I hope will be entering my life soon. The operative word here is hope. And it's called Oblivion Magic. And it goes, unity, bread to the mouth, milk to the lips, tongue to the nipple, tenderloin bathes in the honey of your hive, tender pleasures our lives, separate and shared under my sun, your moon round as but stepped in my hands, yours upon my cheeks, descending those deep wells of your orbiting eyes. Fires of orgasm and prayer, burning us, death or rebirth, we give one to another, that we may lie and rise again, horizons broad as curved shoulders, we clutch with melting fingers, the final moment, letting go everything precious. This life gives us such short time. Okay, thank you for your affirmation on that or the other poems. Appreciate that. And this has been a very, very intense first round. And we'll take a few minute break as we do. And feel free to comment to one another or on anything you may choose. And we'll come back for the second round very, very soon. And we'll begin with Bill Strangmeier.
Okay, thank you, Mo. This is called Onerica. To find the terms and lose the tears for the loss of the anger and fire, the evolution of point of view makes pale, and the conversational tone predominates. Maturity is a disappointment to children, and the aging process is a lesson they ignore, a lesson we ignored. Who's left to remember the needs and desires, desire half fake because so desire? The need more real, the need more than real, but we couldn't admit it. For were we not cool and not killers of fools? And soon to go on to what glories and gain, but still we have the nightly retreat into old habits, old wars, old defeats, into old girlfriends and into old love. For a time we were pulled and then we were held. The fanatical duplicity of inertia. No longer are they ever new. Now they keep coming back, always the same mouths and eyes, the same comments, the same stakes, the same positions, and it's all just memory now. I found my dreams and am now deceived and cruel to those who continue to call on the failings in me that they see to their gain. Foolish beauties no longer seen with their own eyes, muscled clowns with flies undone and paper party crowns. Wise catamites and pederasts with an eye to the main chance, love offered in the naive bad faith, jokes no bounds. Can the churchly know this fear, or the grad school literati trained in mind controls but snide? At least not Philistine, though sometimes literal, sometimes obtuse. All those infidels, realists, and narcs are not depressed by the believers all dressed in turbans or baseball caps, not brooding on the mystery, dreaming of God, but strutting and bragging of murders to come, not kneeling and chanting midst candles and wood, but strutting and bragging of murders they've done, and all of them doomed to the hell that they make in their bathing caps and mesh, or their bad ties and business suits, subject to studies and Snickers. My dream is this, my dream is that, my dream is but a dream. My fire is this, my fire is that, my fire is but a flame. But I return each night to my freedom and unimportant joy that every morning I forget in the dull but vivid logic of the world we've dreamt up as a cage. But I was forgetting the state. I forget every day the all. Our dreams are unworthy of us. Our dreams are a fraud. We are the heirs of the worshippers of Baal. From Odin's gift, our elders drew their strength. We are the ones against whom Jupiter roared. But we continue in our daily sleep, the work of Mammon as his sheep. For we are all here to live our dreams, and we are all here to think about the counterfeit words of our other nostalgias. But you'll see where to begin.
Okay. All our dreams are counterfeit. Well, that must mean that my bad dreams are counterfeit. So I'm glad to hear that. Okay, because I was lost somewhere last night in a dream. I couldn't find my keys to drive away. And I don't have a car. So what kind of dream was that?
I know my erotic dreams are counterfeit.
It's about the what's the word? The commercialization of reality.
Yeah, those dreams. Yes. Okay, Bill, how about number 2?
Okay, first a quote from Isaac Denison. God, Monty called. God, humanity, the men and women of the earth are only the plaster of God, and we, the artists, are his tools. And when the statue is finished in marble or bronze, he breaks us all up. When you die, you will probably go out like a candle with nothing left. But in the mansions of eternity will walk Orlando, the misanthrope, and my Donna Elvira. God, body, soul. Dream as you will, I remain invisible, the secret that you cannot share. Your mother cannot see and cannot know I made the struts. The loyalty of fools is not the tribute that I'd seek, as if I needed seek. My plan was for My plan for you was set, but something was not ranked within my seeing all. I let your orders fester into something more ridiculous and warm, for I had other cats to skin and let myself lose insight into pelts. When I allowed myself to order all, when I created time and made it somewhat stiff, I lost, well, laid aside, if I could say that I obeyed some space, a certain overview, and something grew up into force, directional and fuzzy like a pull like from some small unwelcome pet or snotty, dirty child, as they might feel, indeed, as feel the monkey mannequins I made for fun. My sculpting was once bright with style. The bodies all were perfect, as one might well have guessed, had there indeed been one to see, to guess. The game I set in motion worked and almost gave me pleasure, but then began to leech my pleasure to its feeble own. I did not deign to see. And as it fed on my belief, broke down before its own created dream, the perfect bodies growing soft and fattening with age, the other animals then bent and sagged, deformed like by farming, like the grass, the carpeting I'd made. Free will I gave, and there they go, the monkey tribe in glory, blind, and even foolproof natural selection and mutation meets defeat. The evil and the weak I made as seasoning and zest now spoil the brew, grow rich from science, from their politics and medicine to spoil their own creation. Call it conscience, call it soul, call it fuzzy lack of all the honor I installed. They do not take this time that I installed as saving shore to which to swim. They grow their bellies, gather dirt, and gaily measure by destruction's toll. The colors of creation lose their roles, the moon and bones, the sea and blood run over forests, fields and heather, daisies, sand. They worship rotten reptiles, my long abandoned former choice of two cold, childish cannibals and brutes that took more care of all the scenic little dramas, spread out beauty, wonder of my world. And never will the monkeys come again into eternal bliss, for I shall let them wreck it all. The hope they brandish citing me is but a daydream's sham before return to dust. Ere I reset materiality, redeem Iblis to be my mirror, more appreciative audience.
Ooh, okay. All right, you heard it straight from the judge there on that one. All right. The Folly of Mankind, huh, Bill?
Well, yeah, who made who and who's crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Folly is what is folly.
And the numbers are up, right? The numbers are up. Okay. Let's hear number 2, please.
That was number 2, wasn't it?
Was that number 2?
That was number 2.
That was number 2. Okay. Well, then we've heard number 2. And I, again, I'm batting 1,000, limited storage space.
I have to go, y'all. I got another thing I gotta go to check out. So I'll catch you next week.
See you,
All right,
Angora.
then.
Good to see you.
Okay. Bye for now.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, now I'm out of order. Now that we've lost somebody, who was going to be next? Dave, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, Dave.
Okay. And by the way, I was reading here that Michael McCourt learned to 10 bar at Malachi's Bar when he first came over from Ireland before he came out to San Francisco and became a legendary bartender here. So there we have it.
Okay.
If that's the case, then Michael McCourt made drinks for me, mostly.
See?
Good.
It's a small damn world, you know?
I would drink
It is.
things.
It is a small world.
And steal ashtrays.
And I'm reminded that he gave me my first drink. He gave me for free. So welcome to Specs.
There you go.
Well, that's a patented,
Yeah.
very, very cool bartender's trick. Well, whatever, move to buy the
Yeah.
first drink. Yeah.
Well, I think it's rather genuine unless the next drink is
Oh,
twice the
no,
normal.
absolutely genuine. Absolutely. It's actually it's a tribute.
Yeah. And by the way, not to belabor this, but San Francisco's former poet laureate is Jack Hirschman,
Yes.
who I've known for many years and read with. I've read with him in San Francisco. He's from the Bronx. And and he doesn't give a fuck. He still speaks. 30, 40 years he's lived in San Francisco, and he still speaks, like he's from the North Bronx. So go figure, there's a guy who never let it get in front of him. And that really does stand out when he reads, because it's such a strong accent and he's such a fine poet that it obviously works. So I just
And
wanted
he's been one of the great examples to me as if, you gotta be a poet and fuck what anybody says, Don't take any crap off anybody about being a poet.
Right. Yeah. Okay. He stayed here with me some years ago and was trying in the Jewish Quarter, trying to find books on the Kabbalah. And these old guys in the two stores that had access would not give Jack a single page or reference, because you're either in it, in the Kabbalah circle, or you ain't. And no matter what Jack said to them about, I'm doing an arcana on Kabbalah, and they went, good for you. Now I have business to attend to. So I'm glad he was here for other reasons. He would win the book award for that year in the Marché de la Poésie. We had the same publisher, so I was on the scene, and they announced this year the book award for Marché de la Poésie goes to Jacques Hirschman. And it was translated by one of our translators from Grenoble. Okay, good enough. Enough with Jack Hirschman, because he ain't here. And let's move on. I think it's your turn, right, David?
Okay. I have a couple more poems for you today. Thank you. Okay. Die Pass By, or Renaissance Cafe Odyssey. Low down head, heavy with the drama, as another day goes by. Smarting eyes contemplating water-filled drains, gray-filled sky. Sitting at the table in the coffee house, imagined voices cry. Knotted forehead, understood indulgences, yet still a sigh. Bodies move and sway, sex fantasies look women in the eye. A lone, empty chair, words from pen and notebook, dreams might try. Hours pass through windows, internal challenges voiced, alive and high. Sinker, yours a drinker. As lifetime passes, don't just up and die.
Yeah. Now, excuse my ignorance once again, but hours pass through windows. And the great American artist who drew people in working class Chicago, the diner, the famous drawing of the diner, his name?
Was that Grant Moore?
Edward Hopper.
Edward Hopper.
Edward Hopper.
Who's Grant Moore? Grant Moore's the guy who did the Gothic, right?
Okay.
All those American painters all floating.
Edward Hopper, yeah. When you say hours
Edward
pass
Hopper.
through windows, I thought of that couple. You look through the window in the diner for, the way Hopper draws it. It's great. One for my baby and one more.
That was a coffee shop that used to be in Berkeley, up above Telegraph Avenue for many years. The Renaissance Cafe. It was called the Renaissance Cafe. It was on Durant, just up from Telegraph in Berkeley, and I hung out there for a long time. Way back.
Cool. All right. Can you deliver us a second one now, David?
Yeah. So this one, I labeled this a millennial vision from around the turn of the century. Contact. Note, God bless transpersonal perception, migraine flotation, and automobile verbatim. The devil take ye, all sluggish crusaders, born again losers, broken down sheep herders. Nonsense, reality, relativity, unreal profanity, drunken sexuality, beastly surrender, phantasmical bliss, and no more war. Starseed, blast off. Note, contact. Yonder red goat doth laugh behind his beard. Absurd laurel blossoms dangle from the wab, and fibbing nightingales chirp by the fountain. The poet's life hangs in the balance of fate's mighty hand. A broken down man, seeking redemption amidst unwarranted projection, torn up sensation, intensified intoxication. Wake up, wild tamer, lots to do, renamer. The game is beginning all over again.
Yeah. Makes me glad I'm a poet, a shipwrecked poet.
That's right.
Somebody lost in meaningless obscurity.
Any port in a storm, Mo.
Really, I'm glad I'm a shipwreck. Well, at least I know I'm somebody, and that, I like what you did there. Born again losers, look out. They just keep coming by the tens of thousands.
You can't get them to go away, that's the trouble.
Yeah.
Keep coming back.
No, they're here to stay. Losers are part of the scene, I tell you. Now, some know they're losers. Like I've known when I've been a loser. I've come to that conclusion. People said, Mo, you're a loser. And I said, Joe, you're right. It's just the other people. If you went up to somebody that, hello, Jonathan. Hello, Megan. You are a loser, Jonathan. There's nothing meaningful in what you do. Now, why would he ask that, honey? We have HD and a big plasma screen.
Well, see, if you know you're a cosmic loser, then it's more likely that you will not always be a cosmic loser. However, if you never think you're a cosmic loser, the chances are that you will be forever a cosmic loser.
To deny. That's right. No, I didn't elevate myself to cosmic. I just said there have been times when I knew I was a loser and a boozer and a user but I didn't be an abuser.
Well, I think you could have a cosmic elevation. That would work.
So I won't get drawn and quartered. All right. Good enough. Thank you very much.
You know the structure of any big corporation. It's a pyramid.
Yeah.
Bottom, losers, clueless, psychopaths.
Yes.
Yeah, those top ranks. Yes. All right. And they say, the proverbial they say, that psychopaths, not all, but so many psychopaths have been brilliant in business because they have no inhibitions about making money and betraying their colleagues. And those are, they have no inhibitions, no morality about doing, say, subprime mortgage or shorting the market, any of that. Or, Joe, you've been with me since the start and you're fired.
Yeah.
Or poisoning the well. Poisoning the well.
Oh yeah, I was going to say poisoning their clientele is high on the list.
They just say that there are some very well-known psychopaths that have been diagnosed either during their great rise in business or afterwards. That have been. This guy was diagnosed as a psychopath, and he brought that corporation into the blue chip market. Weird.
Is going
Well,
into space a sign of psychopathy?
Yeah. Yeah, I like Jeff Bezos thanking his employees and the people who, and his clientele.
all the little people
Sent them
who
into
made it
space.
possible.
Steve Jobs. All right, you bastards, I haven't created anything. I've just provoked ideas. Now have them manufactured into products in 6 hours. I will then do the media shot where this was all my creation. And I'm taking the bulk of the money. I think he was a psychopath. I think he was. He was one of those that got, that achieved as a psychopath.
Yeah.
So anyway, here, I'm just trying to find a path. So I think the next path will have to be Caroline. Hello, Caroline.
Ah,
Ah,
ça marche.
Caroline, quel langage, quelle lingua?
Do you prefer me to read first in English or first in French?
Well, to tell you the truth, since you read in French already, I prefer you to read all in Spanish.
That
Because you
might
read
pause.
so elegantly
But
in Spanish.
if I read in French, I will read with the Parisian accent.
Uh-huh.
Because we spoke about accents.
Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go again. Accents. Okay, well, anyway, it's your call anyway. I'm not going to be a dictator. And so it's your call on what you wish to read. Caroline, you're on.
So I will begin by a French poem by mine with the Parisian accent.
Bien.
Aux as de cœur de la bidouille. Presque un an après l'avoir écrit, je le reposte, avec une légère modif. Ah, Jo la bricole et tous mes potes bidouilleurs qui rendent ce monde matérialiste supportable en lui insufflant patiemment ce petit supplément d'âme du bout des doigts. Tout est poésie à qui sait la voir. Digne successeur de l'oncle de l'Alpe, bourru tes œufs au grand cœur à l'amour des choses simples. Sans ces bidouilleurs, que serait l'art? Pas d'instrument, pas de pinceau, ni de châssis, ni de toile, ni de tube de couleur, chevalet, clé. Ô ami passionné du son parfait, collectionneur d'amplis, enceintes et autres appareils mystérieux qui font ressembler vos pioles à des cockpits d'avion, transformant toute écoute de morceaux en instant magique, en souper fin pour les oreilles. Toute une aventure, du fond du canapé, les yeux fermés, à savourer. Que dire aussi des poètes des fourneaux? À la spécialité répétitive, ayant choisi le pot-au-feu ou la blanquette comme grande œuvre de toute une vie, au tour de main incomparable, à la découpe de poulet inégalable, dénicheur du bon melon, as du tire-bouchon à calcitron, savoir de champagne, roi du clafoutis, sauteur de crêpes, rissoleur de petites patates. Les réparateurs, rafistoleurs, recycleurs, retoucheuses, brodeuses, tricoteuses, crocheteuses, repriseuses. N'est-ce pas ça, le véritable toucher d'or? Ces amoureux du travail bien fait qui mettent du cœur à l'ouvrage, et ainsi par petites touches sèment quelques graines de tendresse dans ce qu'ils font. Un petit plus, un peu de même qui change tout. J'adore les écouter m'expliquer patiemment comment rebrancher une installation son de quelques mots simples. Chercher en moi ce petit déclic de compréhension, ou le petit « oh » émerveillé de celle dépassée, subjuguée, emporté par l'élan poétique d'un comment fabriquer ton outil toi-même. Tout est là, la meule, la barre de fer avec laquelle on peut tout faire, et un grand Gus, magicien du langage qui me transforme un temps en super forgeronne. Les mots, je m'en souviens plus, mais c'était beau.
Oui, mais c'était beau, très beau, chérie. Et quelle collection de souvenirs de Paris, hein, parisienne. Très bien. Merci. Et le deuxième poème?
So it would be a Margaret Atwood poem, because I was looking for another poem that I only found in French version, so I will try to find it once in English. So
En français ce soir?
It will be in English, original version.
All right.
And it's a funny It's quite positive. I like this poem. It's called Camera. You want this instant, nearly spring, both of us walking, wind blowing, walking, sunlight nighting the leaves before our eyes, the wind empty as Sunday, rain drying, in the worming sidewalk pedals, the vestiges of night an hour, light scratched eyelids, our breezy fingers. You want to have it, and so you arrange us in front of a church for perspective. You make me stop walking and compose me on the lawn. You insist that the clouds stop moving, the wind stops swaying the church on its foggy foundations, the sun holds still in the sky for your organized instant. Cameraman, how can I love your glass eye? Wherever you partly are now, looking again at your souvenir, your glassy square of paper before it dissolves completely. It's the last autumn. The leaves have unraveled. The pile of muddy rubble in the foreground is the church. The clothes I wore are scattered over the lawn. My coat flaps in a bare tree. There has been a hurricane. That small black speck traveling toward the horizon, at almost the speed of light, is me.
It's you and Margaret. Okay, Caroline, an anecdote. You talked in the Margaret talks, and you spoke of stopping the wind and the rain and all that. You know, okay, true story. Elton John was staying at the Four Seasons on Avenue Georges V, and it is a true story. He admits it. People, okay. So what happened was very late at night, after most people were asleep, the wind came in rather strong down the avenue, and he called the maitre d' and told him, demanded that he stop the wind. And when the maitre d' said, "Excusez-moi, monsieur, I can't stop the wind," he said, "I said stop the wind, and if I want the wind to stop, you will stop it," and went on a raving tantrum, and went on like that for several minutes before he finally shut up. So, Margaret Atwood and you have a better perspective on the natural order of the elements. Yeah, that was Elton John a long time ago. So there we go. Okay, well, thank you, Caroline. And I'm hoping, as a fan of you and a fan of when you read in Spanish so eloquently, that you'll come back to us in the future and again read in Spanish.
I've tried to traduce one of my French poems into Spanish. Translate.
Okay. Oh, that would be nice. Yeah.
Beautifully read.
So
Yeah,
this was the Parisian accent I used just before.
No, see, I disagree because a lot of Parisian accent is ouais, ouais, oh no, ouais, ouais, no, c'est pas possible, ouais, merde, merde, merde. And you speak much more eloquently than street corner Paris.
Yeah, that's true. I used the old Parisian accent as it was in films before, in movies. It
Yeah,
used to be
I read
like
a history.
Arletty's one.
I read a book called Paris at the Turn of the Century, and in that book they say that the Parisian accent of the early decades of Paris was quite different than the accent spoken today.
Yeah, that's true. But I learned it by when I was a child with a man who was born in Villejuif. So and all his family came from there. So it's an old one I use.
Yeah,
I think from my childhood.
very
The
nice.
one, the actual, I can use it too, but I prefer the old one.
I prefer the old one. Ouais, man. Effectivement.
It's too common.
It is.
Trop commun.
It is. Okay. All right. Well, very good. Thank you again for reading for us tonight and bilingual again and adding to the flavor of the World Cafe. Okay, Carolina.
Thank you
Está
too.
bien, muy bien. Stupendo. Okay, so now we will move on and here we go again. We're staying in Paris. So we're moving on to another neighborhood, moving on to the neighborhood of Jack Cooper.
Yes.
Are you in the neighborhood, Jack?
I am in the neighborhood. No.
Would you neighborly us two pieces?
Yes, I will. I have two rather sad pieces, but nonetheless, my daughter is in town, as I think you knew, and so I've been seeing quite a bit of her. And today we went to the Parc Montsouris, and I brought along the Spalding that originally belonged to my son and has now been adopted by my dog. While we were there was some distraction and someone stole the ball. So with that, I thought I would read this, which is called Adagio for No Strings. And it actually, I mentioned both my daughter Brita and my son Lucian in it. Adagio for No Strings. Rain without, tears within, thrombonic sobs late this afternoon, listening to Beethoven's string quartets, 1 through 3 specifically, as thought of Brita turned to text, following message to Lucian, couched in matter of fact. Sob hollowed, empties throbbings of a drum, in this case mine, my instant, insistent, misery circumferent, not loud, still booming from the heart. If exist key, bass clef, cleft must dissever arterial perseveration, pulse liberate, impulse, repulsion, the letting of vein, vanity, the ultimate means and final end of time.
That how you ended with that description of vanity.
Yeah.
That lands.
Yeah. Yeah,
The end of real time, the end of meaningful time. I would agree with that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And with that, I have another piece called Sans Souci. And it's actually dedicated to them, those two. When the wings fell off, that's when I knew. The stifled limbs, like commas, followed, and antennae, earlier interned, now swallowed remains, the contents decomposed of a polyethylene bag that rattled in my skull. What we in triumph prized proved a truth of amateur. We loved that we let die. Its swallowtail freedom, the monarchical glory, Red Admiral pursuit of happiness, sunlight, through that bright, often summer. Careless, we cared free, caring more for each other than care of living in the world might allow. Not yet alone, nor needful, still to be one. Eyes unflinching, though ages many. I, the Father, led the Son, hallowed future mother, child with child, run, seeking flight together, color of excitement caught between dawn and dusk, joy in the unknown, where only consequence would come on time. Moment certainty suspend, and we in pieces break apart ourselves. Thought all lost to memory, present cease immensity, disingenuous gift today. We instinct to breathe.
Okay. Okay. That's a keeper.
Yeah.
We love that which we let die. Yeah. That drove home the sad aspect. As you said, this is a sad poem. And
Yeah.
we love that which we let die. Woo. Okay. And consequence right on time, did you say?
Only consequence comes on time.
Yeah. Yeah. More so than dreams and fantasies. Consequence.
Yeah.
So true.
I mean, it was a brilliant, wonderful experience, but we were collecting butterflies and then, preserving them in bags. And then to our great surprise, when we opened the bag, they had fallen apart,
Oof. And the polyethylene bag vibrates in your skull. That's one way to internalize the activity. Oof. Okay, Jack.
Yeah.
All right.
No, thank you for listening to those.
Yeah, thank you for presenting. Okay, I'm going to present two poems, and I have been mentioning, I was in New York and some other cities, and since I've come home for the last 36 hours, I've been what Billy Joel so righteously did, a New York state of mind.
Great song.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. The language and his rendition. Now, here's about two New Yorkers that I want to bring up, Sydney and Sylvia Miller. I mentioned before, Sydney was my mentor when I was a young lad writing poetry, and he was responsible for advising a network to put me on a national tour, which I'll also always be grateful for. And Sydney was from Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, and Sylvia was from the Bronx. And Sylvia's parents did not want her to marry Sydney. Why? Because they wanted her to marry a doctor or a lawyer. And Sydney was, in fact, one of those great reputable professions. He was a window dresser. He dressed up mannequins. And he didn't work for a company. He was assigned to different shops and stores to do the windows, and hence called a window dresser. And he told me on no certain terms that, like a haberdasher, a hat maker or a shoemaker, that profession was virtually extinct today. That the mannequins, of course, are mannequins, but the outfits come prescribed already, rather than somebody taking a look and being creative. So that's Sydney Miller, who was a window dresser and became a poet at 40 years old. He became quite popular in New York, and then his reputation spread when he would read for national gatherings where I met him, and I'll always be grateful. I love the guy. So this is called She and He. He offered partnership and uncertain futures. She paused and gripped his hand firmly. A pact thusly consummated in anticipation. Life, after all, begins with now. To get there, he figured he must cut a wide path. She realized her own needs in narrow spaces, deeper than his. He ebbed a large wave in search of what good men search for, on a current bound for a splendid beach, charted clearly on his map of dreams, where he would meet Spinoza. After so much work spent on work, he declared a dawning of wisdom. She had blessed him long before, in the height of his folly. Virtue, she understood, comes with being. Like his fathers before, he took his leave, lamenting dreamscapes untrod. She, reminding him of the courageous, beautiful Odyssey, and offered her hand as an oar through his final passage. Alone, the half that stays behind, caressing shadows across a chair at a table, the smell of him in the bed on a pillow, recalling his touch to her shoulder in the bath. Tending gardens in a field of memories, she calls for him, singing among the rose. Finding him, the first tulip of spring, she descends on her knees into the soil. Craving, she digs deep, deeply inside. Okay. Tribute to Sydney and Sylvia Miller. All right. That was 2 great rounds. We started with 9 and finished with a Fab 5. So, of course, I'm just so, it's almost, well, it's almost cliche for me to say, once again, quite sincerely, what a fine reading, everybody.